this CPU board from a System 80B game goes into a Monte Carlo, and when I first tried to boot it, it wouldn't boot at all. So I did some preliminaries. I replaced this cap. I always replace the 5-volt filter cap, and I always replace the daughter card, as I always say. And I always implement the slam switch mod with this loop of wire, unless it's one of the last 5 Gottlieb 80B games which want the slam switch to be open. So I put this board, or I connected it up to my trusty Ed designed QuickScan 80, which is unfortunately no longer available. If anybody's heard anything from Ed, let me know, because I even wrote him a letter to try to find out how he was doing and whether or not he had any plans for this, or creating the QuickScan 3. I didn't hear anything back. But when I put the first, I put the QuickScan 3 or QuickScan 80 on here, it was providing ambiguous results, which happens sometimes. Sometimes an MPU board is so honked up, that's the technical term, that even the QuickScan 80 can't make sense of it. So this one was the 7-segment LED was alternating between like a 3 and something else so rapidly that you really couldn't make any sense of it. But eventually I got to the point where it was telling me that U6, by putting a 6 on the display, was at fault. Now, I didn't believe it, but I didn't have any other things to go on, so I removed U6, the 6532. Actually, not that one, this one. And you can see I've got the big gold X on there indicating that this, in fact, failed, using my the blade tester that I've got for it. It clearly failed. So I replaced it with one of my NOS chips. And then when I put the QuickScan 80 back on here, it was telling me that U1, the 5101, had failed. And it was a Intel part, so it's odd for those to fail, but it had apparently failed too. So let's boot it up and let's see what the QuickScan 80 tells us right now. That 2 was just anomalous. The 4, 5, 6, 1, that is completely normal operation for the QuickScan 80. Just for giggles, let's put the GoRaT80 on here. One moment. Okay, here's the GoRaT80 made by our friend Ralph with the Lizzie project. You can see the information there. And this is a test ROM. This has Marco's test ROM burnt into it, as well as another game ROM for, I don't know, remember what now, but and then this is version 2.02 of the PIC software that I programmed into it using a Picket 3 and PIC minus software. So I'm going to boot it up. The GoRaT board monitors reset, IRQ, and clock signals, so you'll see some indications here. But this is the LED that tells us what's going on from the Marco ROM. This is the equivalent of monitoring, I believe, address 8. At least that's true on Leon's ROM. I'm not sure what Marco does. Probably the same thing, since this board works with both Leon and Marco's ROM. So we want to watch this LED after these things are done. Now, the IRQ will be indicating red, and that is because Marco's ROM doesn't generate any IRQs, so this PIC software is never seeing the IRQ signal change, so it's flagging it as red. All right, here we go, boot. And that long blank means that Marco's testing a short, and then 1, short, and 2, short, 3, short, and 4 now. And that means that 1, 5101, 2, U4, 3, U5, 4, U6 are all valid. And now Marco's test ROM is blinking this continuously at about a 1 hertz rate, and it is continuously testing the 5101. So this board, now I got to get it over to the bench. What's unusual to me is U6 is the 6532 Riot that controls solenoids. So it's possible that something has failed down here and a solenoid backfed through these chips to U6 to cause it to fail. It's also possible that U6 just failed. That happens sometime. Over to the bench. We are on the bench so we can test the rest of this Hollywood Heat MPU board. I'll point out that the client installed, or somebody installed at one time, a super cap. That's a valid and advisable method of replacing the NiCad battery that was shipped from the factory on these boards. So this board will never see any corrosion again. This super cap, typically it's a 1 farad or 1.5 farad. I know a guy that puts 4 farad caps on there, but it's a 5 volt or a 5.5 volt cap, and it provides the backup power for the 5101, which again I had to replace up here. I'm already into lamp test for 80B, and let's show you what it's doing. I have a known good driver board here, so I'm not expecting any errors here other than if the circuitry on the CPU board was not driving the driver board correctly. Let's switch to solenoid test, and I'll pan back so we can watch this. Well, let me get back to solenoid test. If you sit in lamp test long enough on an 80B game, it will jump to solenoid test. Now, these green LEDs that are lighting up, those are pre-drives for underplay field transistors. I'm recognizing that Gottlieb was pretty consistent with which pre-drive transistors that they used. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk and watch the display at the same time. So all of that worked correctly. Generally, they'll start using this one and then go to the left. Monte Carlo just a second ago went all the way over to here for pre-drive transistors. So let's do switch test now. Go across the diagonal and make sure that the switch matrix is operational. Is often not the case on System 80 MPU 0707 F607. That is correct. And here we are with display test. Actually, when I first put this board back on the bench, I hooked up the wrong displays and it wasn't driving this display. So I've got 2 connectors. I've got the ability to connect these displays or this display, and I connected the wrong connector and thought, oops. All right, memory test, okay, and the PROM1 checksum, very nice. This board is good to go. Thank you so much.